Top 10 most powerful countries in the world. United Arab Emirates. US News noted that the United Arab Emirates' discovery of oil in the mid-20th century has rapidly transformed its economy. The UAE's per capita GDP is now comparable to that of major Western European nations, it said. The country has the most competitive economy in the Arab world, according to the World Economic Forum, US News noted. But the UAE dropped one spot from last year's ranking, overtaken by neighboring Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is the world's largest oil supplier, accounting for an estimated quarter of global oil supplies, US News noted. It added that the country is an OPEC founding member and a member of the World Trade Organization, as well as other international bodies. Every year, millions of faithful Muslims from all over the world make the pilgrimage to Mecca, which is believed to be the birthplace of the Muslim prophet Muhammad and the cradle of Islam, it noted. Saudi Arabia moved up 2 spots compared to last year, when it ranked 11th, with particular attention paid to its economic and political influence. Japan. US News described Japan as one of the world's most literate and technically advanced nations. It noted the country has the 3rd largest economy in the world and is among the world's largest producers of vehicles, electronic equipment, and steel. Japan's economic influence was the 4th highest in the world, according to those surveyed. Its ranking hasn't changed from last year. France. US News noted France's economy ranks among the strongest in the world, with tourism playing a key role. It also said France is one of the most visited countries on earth and is one of the world's top exporters of weapons. France is one of the world's oldest countries, and its reach extends around the globe through science, politics, economics, and perhaps above all, culture, US News said. Its strongest international alliances and economic influence were key to its power ranking, which was the same as in 2022. South Korea. US News pointed to South Korea's strong military and strong exports for its position on the power ranking. The country is part of many international organizations including the UN, G20, World Trade Organization, and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Regional Forum. South Korea has one of the world's largest cross-national savings and reserves of foreign investment, US News said, while also highlighting its huge export of cars and technology, with the country being home to the headquarters of Samsung, Hyundai, and Kia. US News described South Korea's high-tech service-based economy as a foreign investment success story and said it now has one of the world's biggest economies. United Kingdom. US News said the UK has strong global influence due in part to its past, when it controlled the British Empire. It described the UK as a highly developed nation that exerts considerable international economic, political, scientific, and cultural influence. It also described London as a major international financial center and one of the most visited cities in the world, and noted how the UK has many of the world's top universities. The UK is also part of the World Trade Organization, the G20, NATO, and the World Bank, and is a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. But US News also said its role on the global stage faces new questions since it left the EU. Germany. Germany's strong international alliances and its strong economic influence was cited by US News for its high-ranking position, the same one it occupied in last year's ranking. It noted that Germany is the most populous nation in the European Union and possesses one of the largest economies in the world, with Germany being one of the biggest importers and exporters on the planet. The country borders 9 other countries, and it is a part of major international organizations including the UN, EU, NATO, and the OECD. Germany has also produced some of the world's leading figures in the natural and social sciences, as well as the arts, US News said, and it is also highly skilled, affluent workforce. But it noted the country has some issues like an aging population. Russia. Russia retained its 3rd place spot in the US News power ranking despite struggling in its invasion of Ukraine, which it launched in February 2022. Russia's military has been grinding and has experienced some embarrassing setbacks, with the country also increasingly isolated. US News said that some of Russia's power comes from its huge size, which is difficult to imagine, with Russia being the largest country in the world by landmass. Its standing is also boosted as it shares borders with so many countries as well as sea borders with Japan and the US. US News pointed to Russia's big industries like oil and natural gas production, agriculture, fishing and manufacturing, as well as the country's history as a major weapons exporter. It also pointed to Russia's contributions to culture with its many celebrated authors and to science with its history of space exploration. Russia is also a member of major international organizations like the G20 and the World Trade Organization, as well as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, even though it has threatened to leave some of them. China. US News noted how China is considered the second largest country in the world by landmass and has the world's second biggest economy. It said China has been one of the world's fastest growing major economies since reforms in 1978, and its rapid economic growth is recognized for lifting millions of people out of poverty. But that growth has caused problems. US News noted, including growing inequality and population in the country and growing tensions with some other major countries like the US, which criticize its human rights record. China has nuclear weapons and is a member of major international organizations like the World Trade Organization and the United Nations Security Council, boosting its power ranking. The United States. US News called the US the dominant global power and kept the country in pole position in its power ranking. It noted how the US has the world's largest economy in terms of GDP at $25.5 trillion and how it is also the world's most technologically powerful country. The US being the world's top producer of oil and natural gas, as well as having the world's biggest coal reserves, was also cited by US News. US News also mentioned the country's huge media industry with global influence, its significant exports around the world, it being home to many of the world's top universities, and it is leading the role in international organizations like the UN and NATO. But it also noted some of the US domestic struggles, including polarized politics, firearm deaths, racial tension, and income inequality.